Father, we thank you for getting us together today to hear your word. Open our ears and we'll hear what you have to say, and perhaps even close our eyes so that we can imagine what you want us to hear. We give you thanks for the opportunity and the place to gather together in your name, to be refreshed, re-energized, to go out into the world and do your will. We give you thanks for this time to be together. Amen.
Amen.
Our first reading today is Ephesians chapter 6, verses 1 to 4. Children, obey your parents. This is the right thing to do because God has placed them in authority over you. Honor your father and mother. This is the first of God's 10 commandments that ends with a promise. And this is the promise, that if you honor your father and mother, yours will be a long life full of blessings. And now a word to you parents. Don't keep on scolding and nagging your children, making them angry and resentful. Rather, bring them up with loving discipline the Lord himself approves, with suggestions and godly advice. The second reading is 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. But anyone who cares for his own relatives when they need help, especially those living in his own family, has no right to say he is a Christian. Such a person is worse than a heathen. Word.
Thanks be to God.
Last week, Pastor Pat talked about 5 men from the Bible. And I don't know why, but I just got a 6th that came into my mind. So I'm going to talk a little bit about him. He's from Genesis, and we've all heard of him before, but usually about one particular part. And I'm going to bring it up a little bit, but not really talk about it. And that is Lot. And it starts off in chapter 11 on verse 31, and I'm going to read that for you. I'll actually be reading quite a bit from the Bible here. So if you want to take your Bible and turn to page 13, chapter 11, verse 31. And I'm just going to read part of that particular verse. And it says, Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, who was the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law, Abram's wife. And with them he left the city of Ur in Babylonia to go to the land of Canaan. He went as far as Haran and settled there. Now, that's the start, really the introduction to Lot. And for the next 7-8 chapters, Lot and Abram are intertwined. It's more about Abram, but it's a couple of times when Lot comes into play. So Lot continues to go where Abram goes, even into Egypt, due to a famine that's in the land. And that's on chapter 12, verses 4 through 7. So if you're still on the same page. When Abram was 75 years old, he started out from Haran, as the Lord had told him to, and Lot went with him. Abram took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all the wealth and all the slaves they had acquired in Haran, and they started out going into Canaan. I've got a little bit of a question for you, and I don't want to scare anyone, so if they think you don't have to come back next week and don't find the answer to it. There may be actually more than one answer. It's a 2-part question. Who went to Egypt and came back wealthier than they went there? Because that's essentially what Lot and Abram do. They go into Egypt, and when they leave, they come back wealthier than they left. So who else did that? Just think about that. And the second part is, who did not get wealth by going to Egypt? Okay. Now, there's trouble between the Egyptians and Abram that we won't go into. That's covered pretty much in the rest of chapter 12. It resulted in Abram and his family being forced back to the land that God had given Abram before going into Egypt. Lot was still living at this time. In fact, Lot was become wealthy by now, not as wealthy as Abram, but still well off by the measures of the day. As the time went by, Lot and Abram's herdsmen, woman, began to quarrel about who had the grazing rights to the land. Lot and Abram agreed which way they should separate, with Abram giving to Lot his choice. And, verse 8 through 13. Then Abram said to Lot, "We are relatives. Your men and my men shouldn't be quarreling. So let's separate. Choose any part of the land you want. You go one way, and I'll go the other." Lot looked around and saw that the whole Jordan Valley, all the way to Zoar, had plenty of water, like the garden of the Lord, or like the land of Egypt. This was before the Lord had destroyed the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose the whole Jordan Valley for himself and moved away toward the east. That is how the two men parted. Abram stayed in the land of Canaan, and Lot settled among the cities in the valley, and camped near Sodom, whose people were wicked and sinned against the Lord. Then it goes along and talks about what Abram did, which is not unexpected because that's what the main story is about. But during this time, we have to remember that there's also a lot of wars and kingdoms were fighting each other. I don't know how big these kingdoms were. It may have been nothing more than, say, Coors County fighting against Grafton County. It wasn't like World War II or something like that. It may have been just one small area fighting against another and calling in help from another neighbor king. But what it led to was when Sodom was captured, Lot was caught up in it, and his uncle Abram came to his rescue, recovering all the possessions that had been taken from Sodom, including Lot's. So Abram is asked to help get Lot back, and he does, and gets everything that had been stolen from him, or back in those days it would have been bounty that would have been taken from the land. Then a lot is talked about in Abram and his wife and his good dealings. Lot's next heard about in chapter 19. And it begins to talk about the sinfulness of Sodom. And that's where the two angels arrived and stopped. They stopped by Adam's home, and Adam had Abram's home. And talked about Abram, where Abram told them basically, or asked them, bargained with them, to find 10 righteous people in the town of Sodom. We'll see what happens with that. But Lot is sitting at the gate when the two angels appeared. We don't do this anymore. We don't have a city gate for people to go in and out of. But in their time, that's where those in power would sit. And they would come to the city gate to go into the city, but also to make decisions that affected the town. There's a story later in the Bible about a gentleman who, because of their tradition with marriage, asked if he can marry this particular woman, and city father said, yes, you can. It's not something that we would do nowadays. We don't go that way. So that was what he did in those days. They would make decisions in front of the city gate. That's why Lot is there. And the two angels arrived at the city, and he asked them to come to his house. Lot attempts to show hospitality to these strangers, but all the men in the city only want one thing. And that can be found on page 18, actually, in verse 3. He kept on urging them, and finally, he talking to the angels, went with him to his house. Lot ordered his servants to break some bread and prepare a fine meal for his guests. When it was ready, they ate it. Before the guests went to bed, the men of Sodom surrounded the house. All the men of the city, both young and old, were there. They called out to Lot and asked, "Where are the men who came to stay with you tonight? Bring them up to us." The men of Sodom wanted to have sex with him. Lot went outside and closed the door behind him. He said to them, "Friends, I beg you, don't do such a thing. Don't do such a wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who are still virgins. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do whatever you want with them. But don't do anything to these men. They are my guests in my house, and I must protect them." That's something that we don't really understand, is that when a traveler comes to your house, they are under your protection. Now, what may, it's up to you to provide for them food, drink, shelter, regardless of whatever comes about. The crowd doesn't go away. In fact, it's only because of the angels causing the crowd to become blind that they're able to escape. The angels tell Lot to go to the mountains so you can escape. Lot tries to get his sons-in-law's fiancés to go with him. They refuse, thinking he's had too much wine. Lot argues or talks with the angels, and they decide that Lot stay at a small village. It's just a temporary thing, because Lot will eventually end up in the mountains. That goes on to another story that you can read about in chapter 19 and 38. During all this time of Lot's life, he looked up to Abram and his uncle. And I think that we all had someone that we looked up to as a mentor. And at some time or another, I think we've all let that mentor down. Now, unbeknownst to Lot, Abram had God's favor. Not a bad thing to have. Abram does what God tells him to do and is rewarded for it. Lot is also rewarded while he is close to his uncle. It is when Lot strikes out on his own, choosing to move his flock toward the city of Sodom, who is known to be wicked, that his fortunes begin to decline. He gets used to the city life instead of tending to the flocks himself. The angels find him sitting at the city gate at the end of the day instead of bringing his flocks in from grazing. Now, first thing that we need to look at is parental responsibilities. Lot follows his uncle wherever he went because his uncle is responsible for him in all ways. When Abram decided to go to Egypt, Lot goes with him, and we don't hear a murmur of dissent from Lot. That's just what their culture was. If you were responsible for your nieces and nephews, they did what you told them to do. You went to St. Louis, they moved to St. Louis with you. Other times that not until Abram suggested they part ways, that Lot is given his freedom to leave his uncle's care. Even then, as shown when Lot is captured, Abram still feels responsible. When Abram is told of the angels' plan to destroy Sodom, Abram bargains with them, attempting to save Lot and his family, not necessarily the town. And another thing we don't understand is their sense of hospitality, as I mentioned. While sitting at the city gate, Lot insists that the angels come home with him, and they give them food and drink after the journey. Travelers were welcomed into your home. Because the angels are his guests, he is responsible for them, to the point of attempting to give his daughters to the crowd that wanted to have sex with the angels. This was part of the culture of the day. Your guests are your responsibility, at whatever the cost. His daughter's value was nothing compared to whatever harm might have come to his guests with him. And I remind you of these stories because I can see myself in these stories. Following in the footsteps of someone that I had high regard for, going my own way, and then getting lost. The times have changed, events have changed, but God's reaction to them has not. No matter how much we want to remember, we will forget life's lessons. Some have to be learned over and over again. Time and again, though, God will look to those who call on Him for help, who at all times praise Him in good and bad. When you realize that you're way over your head in some trouble, seek God's help. He will respond, even if it's not in the way that you don't know. Oftentimes, we are not aware that we need help until it seems to be too late. But God has a plan, and it has been in motion for some time. Lot was with Abram when Abram was told by God of the land he was to receive, but continued on. Lot still didn't question, even if he knew, Abram's decision to continue to travel. How many of us have gone to look at the big city lights? We all know of someone who has and hasn't returned back home. I believe that's what happened to Lot, that he got mesmerized by city lights and only left when his life was in mortal danger. But God was still with him all that time. So God is always with us, regardless of what we do or where we go, and is always looking out for our best interest, even if we don't want what He has in mind.